Hello everybody, this is Bruns, and you're listening to Chasms of the Mind with myself and co-host Kat Gould. Today we've got my good friend Garrett Strout. He is a professional bodybuilder, so we're going to talk about all things bodybuilding. We're also going to talk a little bit about mental health. I think you will like it. Enjoy. All right, so Garrett, please go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know your Instagram handle. That's what we're going to do first.
Well, my name's Garrett Strout. Unfortunately, my Instagram is not currently up.
What? That's the only reason I brought you on today.
Taking a little social media break at the moment.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You said, oh, okay.
It's still a thing. It's just it's not currently up. I'll reactivate it at some point. Just for mental health reasons, decided to take a little social media break for a little bit.
Cool.
I think everybody could benefit from that from time to time.
Yep, that's definitely something we wanted to touch base on today as well. But before you disconnected, you had
about 13,500.
Oh, cool.
So not too crazy, but building it up a little bit.
It's more than I have. So my first question, Garrett, is going to be about the workout regimen that you do, because you talked me into doing, I think it was L-thiamine. Does that sound right?
Theanine, maybe?
Theanine, am I saying it right? And then what was the other one? I don't remember. But you had me get the powders. Do you remember?
Yeah. Was it for blood flow or?
Blood flow.
Yep. So probably L-citrulline. That's a amino acid that just opens up your blood vessels, allows you to get blood flow a little bit better.
Okay, so why am I still fat?
Well, because that's not going to help with fat loss at all. It will help with things like transport nutrients throughout the body. It helps with circulation. Okay. It's not really going to help with weight loss, but it's going to help your brain because it's going to allow more blood flow. It's going to help your heart because same reason. Okay. And it's good for overall health, good for sexual health. Just an overall good thing for everybody to take. But if you're working out, it's great for muscle growth because it helps with recovery, pumps the blood and the nutrients into the muscle.
Okay, so I'm obviously doing something wrong then. I've had none of these benefits. No, I'm kidding.
Actually, still handsome, just not the body's not out there.
I did notice a little bit of, I guess, like you said, blood flow. Just felt a little more energy, similar to a cup of coffee, but no crash later in the day. And I know you probably can't tell from the angle. Garrett's biceps are about the size of my waist. He's a ginormous human being that has been working out hardcore for how long now? Over a decade or more, right?
Yeah, coming up on a decade. Yep. Started out 10 years ago, but I did that. I was more losing weight for the first couple of years. I lost about 100 pounds in high school.
Wow.
I was bullied a lot for my weight growing up, and just between junior and senior year decided to make a change and lost around 100 pounds.
That's awesome.
Did you play sports in high school?
Yep. I played football. I did play baseball for most of my life, but stopped around my sophomore year.
Yeah.
But football was my main focus. Football was always something I was really passionate about, and really the start to me getting in the gym.
Nice.
So what made you decide that you wanted to focus on bodybuilding? Because most people are just, I want to be healthier, this or that, but you took it to the next level.
Yeah. Well, after high school ended and sports there was no way to do anything competitive anymore because without school, there really isn't any organized sports around here. And I've always been a very competitive person, and I thought I got to find something that can replace football for me in a competitive aspect.
Sure. And
I found out about bodybuilding from somebody that I went to the gym with and worked at GNC with, and just I wouldn't say I immediately got into it, but just that guy, his name was Jeff, he really helped me. I always worked out with him, and I just thought, he can train me or teach me things, and as time went on, I wanted to do more of what he was doing, wanted to look more like how he looked, and then eventually I decided, no, I want to get on stage, I want to try it, and it just really can replace that competitive edge that I had from football.
Okay, so tell me about the first time you went on stage and what that was like. Was it like Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff where you had to get greased down and tanned and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Spray tan before you go on stage?
Yeah, you got to do all that stuff. I had to diet for 16 weeks. Then you go down. I went down to Boston. That was where I did my first one. And you tan a little bit yourself before you go down, but then you really get tanned up once you're down there. There's people there. You go into a room with all the other competitors, and you're butt naked with a bunch of other grown men. And I was the youngest person there. I was only 19. So being a 19-year-old amongst a bunch of men between the ages of 25 to 45, and you're all naked, so you get to know each other a little fast, a little awkward at first. And they tan you up, and you come out looking like a bronze trophy. But
how do you get so shiny? What do they spray on you to make you look like Wet.
Yeah, so they tan you like a spray tan, multiple layers, and then right before you go on, there's like this. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you, but it's a brown goop, and they spread it all over you, and it literally makes you look like you're made out of bronze, and it's very shiny, and it helps with because the lights on the stage are very, very bright, and if you don't go up there with that on you, you're just going to wash out. Nobody's going to be able to see anything. So that's why they do it. Those lights are very bright, very hot. You can't see anybody on the stage or in the crowd because of how bright those lights are.
Yeah. Now, did you win anything?
Yep. Well, my first show, I came in second in juniors, which is men under the age of 23.
How old were you?
19.
Okay.
And then I came in second in novice as well, which is like novice is basically someone who hasn't competed before or hasn't placed in a competition before. So you can only really do that division once. And then I came in third in the super heavyweights.
Cool.
And did you get money?
I did not get any money, unfortunately. Just some trophies. The trophies are nice. I still have them.
I was going to say, do you still have them?
Not everybody's going to become a professional and do all that. But people look at you, and obviously you'd have the followers on Instagram. You're doing something right. So aside from like steroids and illegal things, what would be the number one thing you would suggest to somebody that's trying to get in shape? Like when I asked you, you told me the vasodilators that I took that didn't work. What would you say?
It's a very cliche answer, and people hate to hear it. I remember when I worked at GNC, people hated when I would say this, but multivitamins are actually one of the most important things for people to take. If your body's lacking in any of the vitamins that you need, which most people are, because nobody really eats a full rounded diet. Even myself, I don't eat enough. I don't get much vitamins through food. You're not gonna grow as much. You're not gonna get as much. Your body's not gonna function the way that it's supposed to if you don't have all the vitamins in your body that you're supposed to have.
That was very politically correct. Now tell me the cool stuff.
Well, I mean, there are other things when you want to get in shape. Obviously, like a protein powder that'll help you recover, or you can use it as a meal replacement. Like I always have a shake first thing in the morning because I can't stand eating when I wake up. I don't know why.
A lot of people don't like to eat breakfast.
Sometimes I make smoothie bowls and I put protein powder in it.
Does it taste good?
That's really good.
It's really good.
That's really good.
I put like
you got to get Chaz to do that so he stops looking like that.
Strawberries, peaches, blueberries.
Oh wow!
And some almond milk and a little bit of protein powder.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
So there's a couple of things in these. It's not something that everybody can take, but my dad is now recently on Metformin, which has been doubled as like a longevity drug. But also, some people say it lowers your muscle mass. So have you thought about anything like that in terms of life extension, or like what's the trade-off? Like be muscular and big when you're young, but die early. I don't know what you've researched for that.
I've just recently heard about this whole trend of metformin being like a longevity drug.
Yeah.
Because it started out it's mainly a diabetic drug.
Yeah.
And it actually, for a long time, has been used in the bodybuilding community. I've personally never tried it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I just personally don't know where to get it. But very cool.
I got a guy.
Yeah.
Rick.
She was stealing from my dad.
But
Dad, if you're watching this, it was Kat.
It helps with your blood sugar. It helps get your blood sugar down, helps take the sugar out of your blood, transfer it to where it needs to go. But I have heard, I don't know much about it, so I won't speak to it too much, but I have heard about these new things that it can actually extend your life. I don't know how true it is.
It doubled the lifespan in mice and then added 5 years to dogs.
And you say you're in the live forever group.
I am. I'm planning to live forever.
It's the LFG group.
So I'm 40 now. I don't think they would suggest anybody under 45 going on it unless for the actual reason of, like I said, insulin and diabetes.
I'm not.
But I am interested in it. I was actually emailing with Dr. David Sinclair, who's like the head at Harvard for life extension back in the day. He's the one that did it double the lifespan in mice, and that's what piqued my interest. But now they're using it for dogs, like your puppy.
Oh,
it can add 4 to 5 years to dogs' life.
So should I start taking this?
Well, they don't know the side effects. Well, like I said, one side effect is supposedly people that were really in shape and healthy noticed their muscle mass went down. Which, what does that mean? Does that mean you'll live longer if you have less muscle? Is there a correlation there? They don't really know. And once again, if you're already healthy and your insulin's good, then you might not, it might mess up something else. Kind of like a whack-a-mole. You turn one thing off and it could make something else worse.
So if you already have strength, it will go down strength. And if you don't have strength, it will go up strength?
No, if you don't have strength, it'll get even weaker.
Well, the main reason it gets used in the bodybuilding community is because when you take metformin, it helps your body shuttle the carbs that you eat to where they're supposed to go. So if you're using it with the proper diet and you're using it under proper supervision, you actually, I believe, could increase muscle mass because the more that your body is properly using carbohydrates, the more muscle you can grow and the less fat you can gain. So that's why it's always been used by going all the way back to the Arnold Schwarzenegger days.
Oh, it was that long ago. I didn't realize that.
I don't know for sure if Arnold Schwarzenegger used it or not, but I know that it's been in the bodybuilding community
So
for a long
it's something
time.
that you have to be prescribed, though, right? You can't just go to like GNC or
I mean,
Walgreens to purchase.
I'm sure you
it.
can find it illegally. You can find anything illegally, but it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, but I mean,
Your doctor has
it's
to
a
give it to
prescription
you?
drug that I'm sure if you
but
didn't have a prescription, you got caught with it. I'm sure you can still get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Your doctor would have to give it to you.
By the way, none of us are doctors, and none of this is medical advice. I'm just mentioning what my dad has done. But once again, my dad got prescribed it because he was borderline pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
So if you went to your doctor and just said, "I want it to live forever," they're going to say no. You have to have it.
They're going to say eat better.
But
exercise,
it might start to
drink
get
water.
off-label use as a life extension thing. And I wanted to clarify too the thing you mentioned. So when I was saying that you lose muscle mass, that's for people that aren't working out. So people that went on Metformin lost muscle mass as well as weight. Like my dad's lost, I think, 10 to 12 pounds. He's been on it about 3 months now. But if you are regularly working out, you'll keep your muscle mass. It's only that if you stop, which, I mean, anytime you stop working out, you lose muscle mass. So I think it could be worth the risk. Something else they've been pairing it with is, I believe, Rapamycin. Have you heard anything about that? It was originally a drug that helped you if you got a kidney transplant. It would help it so your body wouldn't reject that organ. But because of that, it lowers your immune system a little bit. But supposedly, metformin taken with rapamycin is like the magic pill. So, but I mean, I just hoping you've heard about it. I don't know any more than that.
That one I don't know though. I assume that the life extension part of metformin would be just it gives you a healthier blood sugar level.
Yeah,
is what its main purpose is. And as you get older, blood sugar is one of the main things that goes wrong. One of the main things that can cause an early death. So having a healthy blood sugar throughout your life, I'm sure, will increase your life expectancy. But you can also do that through just a healthy diet, not eating, a Snickers before bed or
not using the $5 Whopper meal coupon once a week.
Yeah.
Not that I do that.
Yes,
I've done it in the past.
Have you heard what the
you bring her
the
Whoppers all the time?
I brought her a Whopper one time. Anyway, I was gonna say what the stars are doing, the Kardashians, I believe, allegedly, because I don't know if they're actually doing this, but there's some sort of injection that is also an insulin-based thing that's huge now, but it costs $1,500 an injection, and you have to get it every 2 weeks. But people that are using it have lost 20% of their body weight. Have you heard about that?
I have not heard about that.
I don't remember. I don't have my phone right now because it's recording Garrett, but I will Google it and I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see what it is. But
oh yeah, I try to pay as little attention to the Kardashians as I can.
I used to have an unhealthy addiction to that show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I've got nothing against the Kardashians, but I just don't understand
Don't you have a book?
the excitement.
I did. Not anymore. I got it when I was like 13.
Well, so you're the youngest one here. Do you think the Kardashians are cool?
No.
Uh-oh, I'm going to send this to the Kardashians.
Do you know who they are?
Yes, isn't it a TV show?
Name
Yeah.
Kim?
Okay.
There you go.
See?
She outsmarted you.
Yeah, you got me.
We're keeping up.
I have no issue with them. I just not interested in anything they usually have to say.
Yeah.
But they are entertaining.
I have
love
seen
Pete
this
Davidson,
thing on Instagram. I keep scrolling through, and it shows this person making a salad that they love. They're like, the Kardashians love this salad. It looks
It looks good. I've seen that, yeah.
We got to make it. I don't care if they like it or not.
Is it like fruit in it?
No, there's like
Is it a
chickpeas.
fruit salad? Oh, chickpeas.
So
You don't like chickpeas.
hey, speaking of you being the youngest person here, what questions do you have for Mr. Garrett?
Or do you have a question for Maggie?
You should show.
She might be sleeping.
In case it wasn't recording earlier, you should show her to that camera again.
She's sound asleep.
Oh, she is sound asleep. That's okay.
She's sleeping. I'll show you guys later.
Okay.
She's so cute. Look at her paws. Look, they're out like this.
Okay, so my next question for you.
Oh, I do have a question for
go ahead.
Maggie that you might know. When is her birthday?
Her birthday is November 16th.
That's almost my birthday.
Oh, really?
It's like 1 month and 3 days away from my birthday.
Oh.
My birthday's
How old are you now?
9.
Oh my God. You guys believe it?
Pretty soon she'll have her driver's license.
Oh, really?
Time flies.
So Garrett, to get back to the working out stuff, you have stopped on the competitions. So I wanted to know why and if you'd ever go back to it. And then I know you were talking about taking a break from Instagram. Do you think you're going to restart that soon too, or you still, I guess, touch on both those?
Yeah, so bodybuilding I still have a love for. I'm still very passionate about it. I love it. I haven't competed in the last 3 to 4 years. The biggest reason was COVID.
Hmm.
I took a little bit of break just trying to work on some things, just get a little bit bigger, work on different parts of my body. And then when I was ready to compete again, I was about halfway through the prep period. You want to diet for at least 12 to 16 weeks before competition. And COVID happened and shut the whole planet down. So there was no competitions to do, including the one that I was going to do. It got canceled, obviously. And then when things started to open back up and they started to allow the competitions again, they were only in certain states because of different states' regulations. There was still a lot of travel regulations that I just didn't want to deal with. And then they weren't allowing fans. And if I'm going to do it, I want to have my friends there. I want to have my family there. You want a support group because it's a very nerve-wracking thing to put on this tiny little Speedo-like thing and walk out on stage in front of a couple thousand people you don't know.
Yeah.
So now that COVID is pretty much over, I don't know how kosher it is to say that, but now that it's relaxed, I guess is the best way to say
It's
it.
the best way to put it. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do one again. I'm not sure when yet. Still taking my time. I just bought a house recently. Got the puppy. So there's a lot of things
You're a
going
family
on.
man now.
Yeah, but I will eventually do one again. I'd say within the next year to year and a half, I'll do another one.
So do you get sponsored when you do this, or are you like a solo man?
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I was sponsored when I was younger. Had a couple different companies that would send me things, and I loved it. I actually just said yesterday while I was buying some stuff at Vitamin Shop that I missed the days where I got stuff for free. But so that is one perk to it. You definitely don't have to get sponsored. Everyone wants to. But actually, the sponsorships are kind of actual bodybuilders are getting less and less sponsorships because the TikTok fitness influencers are kind of the way the companies lean now because they do bring in more. As much as I hate to say it, they will bring in more revenue for that company because they get seen more.
Yeah.
But you still can get sponsorships, supplement companies, gym clothing companies, stuff like that. Usually that's for the higher end bodybuilders these days because you have to have, even that 13,000 followers you mentioned, that's not much nowadays. There's TikTok influencers that do
6 million.
6 million views for a video where they reviewed a flower. I don't know, but
Well, so for somebody that's coming up, like a 15, 16-year-old, what would you suggest? Should they go the contest route and get all oiled up and do that, or should they focus on getting a trainer? Should they focus on sponsorships? What's the best?
I think if somebody finds bodybuilding and they like it and they like fitness, I think competing is a great thing. I've always wanted to tell people to not let it consume them. I let it consume my life for a good chunk of time, and I thought, I'm going to be a millionaire off of this. And if you don't have a backup plan, you're setting yourself up to, if you get down the road to 40 years old and you've been planning on being a professional bodybuilder, and now you're 40, competing's coming to an end, and
you have a bunch of trophies and not much else.
Yeah, and you're still, having your parents pay your bills or something. You have to have a backup plan. You have to work on something else as well. You can make a business with bodybuilding through training or anything like that, but it's not a very lucrative sport, but it's a great hobby. I think people should find a healthy balance with it and should compete because competing is a great time. It's, I think, great for people, helps people getting up in front of people like that in your basically most vulnerable state. I think has a lot of great aspects, will help in a lot of aspects of life. It gives you you're not going to be as scared in tough situations.
It's a good adrenaline rush too, right? Getting
Absolutely,
stage.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. I've met so many great people. I have people that I stay in contact now that I met at my first show when I was 19 that live in Europe, that live
That's cool.
in Asia. That people come from around the world to compete, and it is awesome. I just think people need to not let it consume them. There needs to be a healthy balance, exactly. And unfortunately, it's very hard to find that healthy balance because it is a lifestyle you have to live. Yeah. You have to follow your diet 24/7. You have to get your 8 hours of sleep. You have to so it is a hard balance to find.
So what do you do when you're not working out, Garrett? What's your healthy balance?
Hanging out with puppies. That's mainly what I do. I go to the gym, then I go home, and I got this little girl, and I got my other dog, Aspen, and me, the wife, and the dogs, and that's pretty much it now. I mean, and working, obviously. Forgot to mention that side. I guess that's a really important
It's
part.
a big part.
Yeah, I do property management for a living. My mom started a property management business 20-something years ago, and she's built it from the ground up herself. And now I'm working with her to learn the business and eventually take it over when she decides to retire.
That's awesome. I didn't know you made the switch. I thought you were still working for your other company.
Oh yeah, no, I made the switch, and I'm the happiest I've ever been doing it. I think
Congratulations, dude. That's
I
awesome.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's awesome. I have my own office, and it's been a lot better than working for somebody else.
What's the weirdest or strangest thing that happened so far for you property managing? Anything? Any weird tenants or weird calls?
Yeah, there's been some weird stuff. I had to talk to one elderly woman about. We're not sure why, but she put Vaseline on her neighbor's doorknob for some reason.
What?
I remember you texting me about that.
Yeah, we don't know why she
They got some secret beef going on.
Yeah, so
I'll get Ethel. I'll show her.
most of what we do is elderly housing, so there's a little bit of adult babysitting that happens sometimes. But besides that, everything's pretty good. I'd rather work with the elderly than younger people. They're a little bit more respectful, I find.
They're not throwing ragers.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
exactly.
lie though, that's pretty good. Like as far as pranks go, if you're an elderly, just go put Vaseline on the doorknob every day.
That's the thing. For
If
a
I find
7-year-old
Vaseline on
woman,
my door, I'm coming after you, man.
I'm gonna do
Wait, was it an
now.
exterior door or interior?
Exterior.
There's one. So did it freeze on the doorknob too?
Oh no, it's inside. But it's
okay.
the door that goes into her apartment, but
How
the
did she
apartments
get
are
in?
inside.
Well, they all live in an apartment building,
Oh.
so it's
Yeah.
like shared
Yeah.
access.
You
But
put a
so-
stink bomb in her house.
I did. Garrett, I put a stink bomb in the bathroom here the other night, and it smelled for 24 hours.
An actual stink bomb, or did you
Yeah,
just
Yeah,
have
we
Mexican
went.
food
There's a
before?
place in Maine.
Perry's Nut. No, what's
yeah,
it called?
Perry's Nut
Perry's
House,
Nut
and
House.
they sell stink bombs. So I bought some for Zoe, and I thought it'd be funny to do one in the bathroom and
Hilarious.
pretend like I left a
bad
big
was
poop in there.
It was
It was
hilarious.
horrible.
Oh, and
It
then
was horrible.
Was it
the
bad?
last
Yeah.
one
We had
that
to
was in the
evacuate.
box.
Yeah.
The last one that was in the box, he put it in his pocket, forgot it was there, and washed it.
I don't think
Oh,
I don't think
no.
it exploded though, because I went to smell the laundry and it all smelled fine, or it exploded and just washed it away.
Could you imagine if that made all your clothes smell like that, though?
Garrett, it's
Smells
if anybody knows what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's those
Yeah,
glass stink bombs that
like
break.
Those were a
like
thing.
you
It's
had
like-
when you were a kid. It
Yeah.
was
It's
terrible.
yeah, it's like pure sulfur, I think.
So we've got our secret beef going on. Karma is a you know what, and I'm gonna get you back, dude. I'm gonna get you back.
With Vaseline on the doorknob.
You really want to?
With
You,
Vaseline on the
you
doorknob.
really want to start a public feud?
Yes,
Because I
I'll
will.
get you so good.
I will keep going till you're.
I don't know. I don't know if I can handle it.
Real quick, I wanted to rewind back to the bodybuilding stuff.
Yep.
So, how come you never went the route of like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why didn't you like get all in shape and say, "I'm going to LA now, and I'm going to be like the next"? Because there's a lot of bodybuilders that are huge. You happen to be a beautiful man as well, Garrett. How come you didn't become the
I
next
don't know
Arnold
about that,
Schwarzenegger?
but I would say, because I don't, it sounds weird because bodybuilding's seems like something you'd want a lot of attention. I don't like attention. It makes me uncomfortable.
Look at you could have been a gladiator, a Viking. There's so many roles you could have played.
Hercules.
Hercules.
I do think I'd make a good Viking. I do think that. I agree with you there. But I could never do the whole LA route. I want to be a terrible actor. I couldn't memorize lines to save my life.
Yeah.
I have way too much ADHD for that. But
Well, I've got to admit, this is like the 6th time I've asked Garrett to do this, and he's finally like, okay, let's get it over with. So it's true that he does not like being on camera.
well,
you're
I was
doing a
gonna
great job.
do it, but you guys took like 9-month
Hiatus.
hiatus,
I know.
Well, someone went to Thailand for 5 weeks, so that was part of it.
and then Florida for another month after that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm living the good life, okay?
Just so everyone knows, Chaz is keeping all of the ad
So
revenue.
yeah, so he,
I wish there was ad revenue from this.
Yeah,
If anybody would like to sponsor this podcast, please
Yeah.
contact me.
so he planned that, and then he came to our house one day, and she said,
Wow.
"Guys,
Really?
you're not gonna like the news that I have. You're not gonna like it. I'm going to Thailand, and then Florida."
Zoe
Well,
cried. She was very upset.
I did.
Listen,
Not because she missed him, but because she wasn't invited. I think that's more.
No, I don't want to go where there's monkeys that will bite me and kill me.
Oh, well, there. That's
I
a.
mean,
I did not see that one coming.
some of them are nice. You can make friends with a monkey.
Some.
You wouldn't like a pet monkey?
I want a pet monkey that is not vicious.
Speaking of monkeys, to go way off topic, I had a dream a couple nights ago that I bought a monkey from the pet store in the mall that used to be there. It's not there anymore. And it was I don't know, this big. And when I was walking around with it and it was talking and it was just telling me how bad my breath smelled the whole time. It
you
was
told me
really
that.
weird. I had
I-
eaten garlic before bed, so like, and I woke up after my dream. I'm like, man, that monkey was right. It's not good.
The monkey's like, you
And-
don't smell
That
like
was
bananas at all.
sorry, that was so off
And-
topic.
and
I
then-
had to share.
And this my dream
Stuck
last
with
night.
me.
This is the most untopic one. I have fidgets. For example,
Careful.
these are fidgets. That's what is holding the computer on. And I had a dream I threw away a lot, and then I could only pick one to keep with me, and I felt like I had those fidgets a long time ago, but I never had those in my life.
By the way,
Those
for
were-
anybody watching, Zoe probably has about 20,000 fidgets.
That's my playroom in there. They're
I don't
all
know
over
why
there.
she needs
and
so
some
many
right
of them,
here.
but she has a million of them.
If anybody else knows about this obsession with fidgets, please tell me what I can
Do you know
do
what?
about
Have you seen them? The poppers and spinners and all
I've
that
seen them
stuff?
before, but I've
slime,
never,
fidgets,
Wait,
poppets.
I can see why they're addicting
like,
though.
Uh-oh.
Pick the best one.
We've gone
Michelle.
off on a tangent. This
I
4
have
hours later.
I have some serious ADHD, so I could probably benefit from it.
these are
3.
the biggest ones. These ones are called poppets. These are my 3 biggest ones. I have this big circle one that you can pop.
I actually didn't know they made them that big.
Isn't that cool?
Color, heart, and a little cupcake.
By the way, everyone, Zoe, she may or may not do this, but she was joining us today to see if she enjoyed being on camera because she might start her own YouTube
I
channel
will.
where she's
And
going
it's
to
gonna be
sell
called-
slime because she makes her own
It's going to
slime.
be called Zap, Z-A-P, and
Yep.
then have an exclamation mark at the end.
So if
And I
anybody,
might have my own slime shop.
yes, so if anybody's looking to buy some of her handmade custom slime from
Not
the state of
promising
Maine,
though.
I thought you just said yes.
Well, yes, I might have a slime shop. I don't have money.
She'll sell some slime.
She's
Maybe.
she's really oddly good
Like,
at making slime.
If,
I have
She doesn't even measure it. She just
I have
adds it.
all my
It's just a-
huge drawer full of glue, activator, borax, everything.
if she does it, I'll put a link at the end of this episode and you guys can check out her slime.
She's a
All right,
professional.
now back to Garrett, who's the true guest today. Did you have another question? I have a few more.
Sleeping, but
I know, right? What a cute baby she is.
Wait, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did you make the medicine that you have to bodybuild?
make the medicine that I have to buy.
But-
Make the vitamins. He probably bought them.
vitamins.
In a way, he does, and I'll explain because Garrett at one point talked to me. What's the name of the company? It was
That was a good
Oh,
question.
bulk supplements.
bulk supplements. So some people just buy like a regular multivitamin at Walmart or whatever. But to save money, if you're using it a lot every day, Garrett sent me to bulk supplements, which is on Amazon, but I'm sure you can buy them from them directly too. But they'll send you a big bag of vitamin C or a big bag of whatever, and you can mix and match in
You
your shakes.
mix-
Yeah,
So in a way, he does make.
Like smoothies?
Yeah. So does that answer your question, right?
Yeah.
So he does make.
To
it
me, that's why
Like-
it's so overwhelming. I would love to wake up and make like a really delicious protein shake, but I literally have no idea like what goes in here. I'm afraid I would overdose on
Well, the-
protein or
The
something.
best
Like
thing
me?
for people is
Hold
just
on.
to get like a protein powder and make a smoothie that way. For me, just because I do have the knowledge from trial and error over the last 10 years, like even with a pre-workout, which is something you use for energy and circulation, like we talked about earlier with the citrulline, that I like to make myself. I'll get different ingredients from bulk supplements because you can get, 200 days worth of citrulline for $10 or $20, whatever it is. And you can just end up making your own. And it's more expensive at the beginning, but in the long run, it's way cheaper because you'll have it for 200 days, where most pre-workouts you get 20 days worth for $50 nowadays.
Yeah. One of the bags that you talked to me to get, I had for a year.
That's
Wow.
the thing. They'll last.
Does it
forever.
expire?
I stored a cool, dry place that's never.
That's the thing. As long as you got it stored in like your cupboard or something, it might clump up or something, but as long as you break it up, it should be fine.
Now, in the reverse, I asked you what you like the best. Is there anything that you tried that you're like, oh, that's horrible, I'll never take it again? Like,
As far as effect wise or taste wise,
oh no, just effect wise. Like, did you ever take too much vitamin A and get sick, or like, have you had any bad issues with anything like that?
Like the runs.
I've definitely taken too much caffeine at once before, but that was about it. Too much caffeine. I mean, that one's pretty obvious on how that's going to turn out, but that's I think the only thing I've ever had a real issue with. I mean, there's some stuff that tasted pretty terrible, but never an issue of the effects. As far as vitamins and stuff go, I mean, everything's pretty safe. I mean, things like niacin, you might get too much flush. I've had that happen, or beta alanine, which is in most pre-workouts. Gives you like a pins and needles feeling in your face.
So one day, Garrett gave me beta, or talked me into taking beta
Wait a
alanine,
minute,
which
that sounds familiar.
I love it. I like the way that feels, and it happens for me every time. I gave it to Kat one day so that she could try it.
When we were working
she
out.
hated it.
We were working out a lot. You know,
Yeah.
we go like 4 times a week, and he's like, "Oh, you got to try this before we work out." Next thing you know, I'm at the gym, and like my hands are on fire. Everything is tingling.
It doesn't.
Very
It
weird.
doesn't hurt. Some people say it's painful. To me, it just feels like a tingly.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, and I can understand why people don't like it.
I didn't like it at all. I was like hot and sweaty.
I think I'm just so used to it at this point, because after a while, you don't really feel it at all. I think your body just gets adjusted to that
sensation.
Feeling.
Yeah.
So I don't usually get that feeling anymore, but I can understand why people don't like it. But it has great effects. You know, it helps increasing endurance. It's a great thing for people doing bodybuilding or running.
Mm.
You know, it's very good for increasing your endurance is, I guess, the best way to put it. But very great product, just a very weird side effect. It's not dangerous as far as the pins and needles.
As far as I know.
Just uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've looked it up, and because when I felt it too, I was like, this can't be good for you. But everything I've seen online said that there's, as far as I know, there's no real side effects from it. It just has a weird sensation.
Yeah, just a weird side effect of pins and needles on the face for some reason.
And it goes away in about, what do you say, like 40 minutes, I'd say. It's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't last long at all.
Which that brings me to the elephant in the room as far as weightlifting goes. And you can pass on this question if you want. But I've noticed like Joe Rogan and a few other people mentioning that steroids are obviously, whether it's like The Rock, people accuse The Rock of being on steroids because he's so huge. So whether it's in Hollywood or wrestling or UFC, the general rule of thumb is steroids are bad. They'll shrink your balls. They'll kill you, all this stuff. But like I said, on Joe Rogan and some other places, I've heard them say, if you take steroids in a moderate manner and know what you're doing, which once again is hard to do a professional steroid use because it's all kind of underground and hidden. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you think there is a safe way to use steroids and train? And then if you do you think that there's an age limit? Like, it's obviously not good for someone who's 15 years old to be injecting steroids. But if you're an adult professional, like, once again, I'm sorry, The Rock, this is alleged. I assume you do all your stuff naturally, but I wouldn't be surprised if you are taking some steroid supplements, right? So he obviously, that worked out for him, right? He's healthy. He has a career. So for him, you'd say the risk versus reward of steroids worked out, right? That's the argument that Joe Rogan and some of those guys say, is that
there is a healthy way to do it. I do believe that. I think there's a healthy way to do anything.
Yeah.
I think it's not very easy to do things the healthy way when it comes to things like steroids or any sort of illegal drug.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody to do cocaine responsibly, no one's gonna. Is it possible? I think so. Can an average person do it? Nope, probably not.
Yeah.
I imagine that's probably pretty difficult.
Yeah.
But there is a healthy way to do it. And I'm sure if anybody, The Rock would be the person who could do it if he does do it allegedly. Also, I guarantee he's not going to see this.
Well, I just have to say allegedly because it's slander if not, you know.
But somebody that has access to the best doctors in the world. He has access to stuff that he knows there's nothing else put in it. But just like any drug, steroids or something, you don't know what's in there. You're buying it from somebody that most likely made it in their bathtub. Or it's being shipped from overseas, and you have no idea who's
some weird chemical from China.
So there is a healthy way to do it, but just like someone doing drugs here in could be in Maine, there could be fentanyl in whatever drug they're doing.
Yeah.
In steroids, probably not going to be fentanyl, but there could be something else in there that's not good. You don't know, or they could be giving you a different steroid that you didn't ask for, and so I do believe there's a healthy way, but it's very difficult because if you're going to get it from a really good source, it's going to be really expensive. So that's the biggest thing. People are buying it on online sources that they have no idea who's making it. They're probably making it in their bathtub. And
I'm totally naive to steroids. Is there different ways to ingest it, or is it only intravenous? Like when I picture steroids, I picture like somebody juicing with like a needle.
It doesn't go into the vein. Anybody that takes steroids, you inject it into the muscle, so you don't want it to go into a vein. If it goes into a vein, you're going to end up in the hospital. Yeah, because it's oil based, so it's going to get pumped through your veins and eventually get to your heart, and that oil is not going to be able to go through your heart, and it's going to cause some issues.
Wow.
So there's injectables. There's also oral steroids. People take them like a pill. I have done them in the past. I don't anymore. It's been years. I think 3 to 4 years since I've done it.
Wow.
Did you have any side effects or issues?
I really don't think they're good for mental health. I think it does cause some mental health issues. I didn't have any serious health problems from it because I didn't do it for very long. I've definitely been accused of doing it for longer than I've actually done it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say, I mean, there are very serious risks of things that can happen. You can do a lot of damage to your heart, do a lot of damage to your liver, especially your kidneys, things like that. I didn't because I did it for a short period of time. And
Did you cycle off and on? Sort of
exactly, yeah. So
did you notice any changes with your? Did you get bigger quicker?
I honestly, another thing people hate when I say it, but it doesn't do as much as people think it does.
Yeah.
People think they're a miracle thing. I know a lot of people around here, and I definitely won't say names, obviously, but I know a lot of people in Bangor that you would never guess take them or even go to the gym that have taken way more than I've ever taken.
Wow.
And it doesn't have as much of an effect as people think. It helps you absorb nutrients better, helps you recover faster, gives you a little bit more energy in the gym. Honestly, I think the worst and best things I noticed when I took them, the worst thing I would say is the sweating.
Ooh.
Makes you sweat. Like, I remember sleeping in bed one day, and there was a good couple weeks where I'd wake up and every day there'd be like an imprint of my body in the sheets from the sweat.
Nasty.
Because you just sweat through the night, and it's gross. It was awful.
And you should have bottled that up and still Garrett's fragrance.
Garrett's sweat.
Garrett's fragrance, yeah.
Cento Garrett.
Take a shot a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, did you know anybody that had crazy side effects? Like, did anybody have to have a testicle removed or anything?
Nothing like that. I mean, I know somebody that took them against me telling them not to, and they ended up with some severe acne that caused problems and scarring and stuff like that. That's actually an issue I never really got from it. I don't know. That's probably a genetic thing. I think some people are more, because of their genetics, they have a higher chance of producing more acne, I guess. Yeah. That's something I just never had an issue with.
In turn with the acne. I mean, with the sweating.
I got back hair out of it. I guess that's a pretty terrible thing. I gotta shave my back now. That's
Stop.
That's actually probably not caused by that. I just like to blame them. But the best thing, I mean, I will say, it definitely gives you more confidence, makes you more energetic. That's for sure. But I do think the risks outweigh the benefit of them. I'm more on I would say now, compared to back when I used to take them, I'm much more against them than I used to be. I used to say, let people do whatever they want. I do think it's a very risky thing that people shouldn't do. Because there's a lot of people. I'm a very even-keeled person. I have a very long fuse. Takes a lot to anger me. So I never experienced any sort of rage issues or anything like that. But I know a lot of people that have. And they basically make you more of who you already are. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that aren't very, even without them, are not very even-keeled. They're a little bit more temperamental. Yeah. And then they take them and they end up just becoming more of an asshole. Yeah. So I do think the risks outweigh the benefits, and I encourage people not to do it. But if you have a goal of being a professional bodybuilder, a professional powerlifter, or a lot of other sports, I don't say you need them, but if you have that goal and you want to use them to help you reach that goal, I say go for it under proper medical supervision. Make sure, I'd say at least be 23 years old. Don't take it before that. If your age ends in the word teen, don't even look at them. Yeah. And that's unfortunately the people who do it the most and end up with the most problems because they take it at a young age.
Especially the mental health, like you said.
Right, because your brain's still developing and you start pumping in all those extra hormones, things are going to happen over time. Yeah. And, you know, it's one of those things where if you can make a good decision about weighing out the risks and the rewards, make a good decision for yourself, but I encourage people not to do it. I think it's more impressive also if you can push your body naturally to see how far you can get naturally and then try it. I think the best age to do it would be after the age of 30. I think push yourself, see what you can do naturally until you're 30 and then try it. And a lot of people do that. There's a lot of professional bodybuilders that didn't become professionals until in their 30s because they waited. And they end up with the nicest physiques, in my opinion.
Yeah, natural.
Now,
exactly.
What's the difference between steroids and hormones? I've heard a lot about HGH, for human growth hormone. Have you ever tried that?
I have not. And I will say that I have not tried it, not because I don't believe in it. I believe in it a lot. I haven't tried it because it's very expensive.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, it's going to cost you about $200 every 2 to 3 weeks. And that's just pretty expensive. When I was doing steroids, I was not in a financial position to afford that. If you're talking about an extra $400 a month, wow. That's half your rent or, a vehicle payment. Yeah. But again, like we talked about with metformin, there's a lot of positive benefits to it and not a lot of negatives that they found, and they've talked about that being something that can extend your life. There's athletes have used that to recover from injuries, neck injuries that healed up in half the time, stuff like that. Professional athletes that allegedly used it to recover from injuries faster, get back on the field faster. I think it's a great thing. I really do. I think it's something that a lot of people could benefit from, but it's just very expensive. And again, you don't know what you're getting when you buy it, unless a doctor gives it to you, which I don't know what you need to get a doctor to prescribe you HGH, but
I'm going to ask my doctor next time I go, hey.
Yeah, just be like, what would you need to get to give me this?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff I think when I hit 45-ish, I'm going to just ask about. Because I think you're right. Like when you're younger, you don't want to take steroids or hormones or mess with it. But if my testosterone is getting lower or things like that, like I've heard a lot of women recently talking about their relationships and that their sex drive dropped off the face of the earth and that they went and got hormone therapy to adjust that. And they said it was like life-changing.
And when you get to a point in life when your testosterone's naturally not producing as much, it actually becomes almost a healthy thing to get on testosterone replacement.
Yeah.
Because it'll put you on just enough to bring you up to a normal level. And you're going to have, honestly, probably just as much bad side effects from having low testosterone that you would from having too high of testosterone or steroids. Yeah. So using testosterone replacement to bring yourself back up into a normal range is going to be healthier than just letting it go.
Yeah. That actually brings me to the final question I want to wrap things up with. So I've mentioned on here before that I'm on sertraline, which is the generic form of Zoloft for depression issues I've had. And our generation, the younger kids, my dad says it all the time. He's like, what's wrong with these young kids? They're all full of anxiety and having all these issues. You had mentioned to me that you have gone to counseling. I haven't done it yet, just at the time constraint and money thing. I would love to. And I actually at one point did reach out to some therapists in the state of Maine, and they're all booked up. It's very hard to find a therapist. But you had found one, and I wanted to just ask you if you have any advice for anybody that's struggling with any sort of mental issues, whether you suggest that that's good or whether you think that medication's good or not good. What are your views on the mental health for people our age?
I've always wanted to help people with mental health issues because I have them myself. I've been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADHD, a lot of things. Anxiety has been my worst thing. I've had anxiety my whole life. I take hydroxyzine, which is an anxiety medication. I think anybody that is struggling with it should get medicated. There's nothing wrong with being medicated for depression, anxiety, or anything. I think there is something wrong with knowing that you have something and not doing anything about it. If you have anxiety or depression and you don't want to do anything about it, that's wrong, in my opinion. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting the others around you. And I'm not saying you have to get medicated. There's people that don't believe in medication, but go to counseling. I know it's hard to find counseling. I know there's a BetterHelp is a website that a lot of my friends use that's helped them a lot. It even lets people text a therapist, like have an hour-long text conversation with a therapist. You don't have to talk. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to see someone face to face. I was lucky enough to find a therapist through a friend of my mom's, basically, that was going to this woman. So I gave her a shot after a few therapists that I didn't like. And this woman has been amazing. I think in some ways she saved my life. She has been incredible. I go to therapy. I try to go at least once a week. It does kind of fall off sometimes because life's busy, but at least 2 to 3 times a month. And it's been great. A lot of things have turned around for me. When I was 24, 25, it got bad. I got suicidal at some points. And now I'm happy to say that a couple years later, right now, I am definitely the happiest I've been in my life. And I would not have that if it wasn't for therapy, medication, working with doctors to get better. And it took a lot of work. Took multiple different therapists. You had to find the one that fit me the best. I had one for a while that just said yes to everything I said. Just was like a yes man. I think she just wanted the check and to move me along at the door.
I think that's super important that you touched on that, because a lot of people they'll go to therapy, have a horrible experience, and think, oh, it doesn't work for me. Therapy's stupid.
Exactly.
But, you know, everybody's personality is different. So it might take a few tries to find somebody that you're comfortable talking to or actually get something from the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some people are more comfortable talking to a woman or more comfortable talking to a man. For me, I don't know why. Probably has something to do with my childhood or something, being close to my mom growing up. I could not open up to a male therapist. A female therapist, for some reason, I can open right up. And I love my current therapist because I'll say something and she'll be like, "You're an idiot," or she calls me out on my stuff. And most therapists that I've seen have not been like that. They want you to like them.
Right.
So you keep coming back so they can keep getting that check every week or once you find somebody that you might not like after the first try because you were like, well, I didn't like what they said. That hurt my feelings. Well, probably what you needed to hear.
Right.
Most likely. Because I remember the first time I met her, though she was so sweet, so nice, when I left, I was a little upset because she called me out on the dumb stuff I was doing.
Yeah.
And it hurt my feelings a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And now she's one of my favorite people in the world. And she has helped me through so much. I think therapy is the best thing that anybody can do to better their life. And honestly, to bring it full circle, going to the gym, or doesn't have to be a gym, just getting a daily workout in, is amazing for mental health. Mm-hmm. It really is. I noticed some of my most depressed was when I wasn't going to the gym, when I fell off from my routine. If you consistently, it doesn't have to be the gym, you go for a hike, go for a walk, get outside, stuff like that, just getting your body moving, it's going to help your body work better, including your brain. Mm-hmm. And it's going to help with mental health. And I think those are two things that everybody should do, is see a therapist at least once a month. Mm-hmm. I know it's hard. I know without everyone having health insurance, it's very hard for people to pay for it or even find one, get in with one. But keep trying. Eventually you'll find a way to do it, even if it's just once a month or every other month. It helps everybody. Yeah. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. I think there used to be a stigma around it that you're a crazy person if you go, but that's gone. I don't think anybody believes that anymore. And I think everyone in your family and friends are going to be proud of you for going and doing it. Yeah. And it helped me turn my life around, and I really think it can help anybody. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, for sure.
And I want to echo that same sentiment in terms of the medications, because in my early 20s, I tried Lexapro. That's one of the standard ones they give to people that are diagnosed with depression as the first try. Hated it. Made me feel weird, worse, if anything, so I went off it. Yep. Symptoms continued, and then in my mid-20s, I had a new doctor. They said, let's try it again. And I was like, same one? And they're like, yeah. I was like, I didn't like it before. They said, no, we'll try the same one. Same exact experience. So I, at that point, kind of gave up on it. And then my brother a few years ago was like, oh, I tried sertraline. We're similar genetically. Give it a try. And I was in my head, I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. Sertraline was perfect for me. Changed my life. I didn't have any more anger outbursts. Depression is a thing of the past. I haven't had anything depressive at all in almost 2 years now. And it was just a matter of finding the right one for you. And I hate this analogy, but it kind of works. Some people like to drink a Corona and some people drink a shot of whiskey. Everybody has their alcohol they like. Medications are kind of the same thing. You got to find one that works for you the same way you got to find a therapist that works for you. So don't give up just because you tried a medication once and you felt worse. That might just not work for your genes or genetic makeup. Keep trying to you.
Everybody's brain is different. Every single brain on the planet is different than another one. So you got to find something that works for you, just like the therapist. And one other thing I want to say, because I don't think many people know this, and it is one of the things that helped save me and turn my life around, was a lot of people go talk to your doctor about being depressed, and they'll give you different medication and stuff, and they can't find something that works. Get your thyroid checked, because a lot of people have thyroid problems, and it's something that for some reason when you go to the doctor and you tell them you're depressed, they don't check that. And checking that is one thing that helped me a lot. Is I went to a new doctor. She decided she wanted to check my thyroid and see if that was causing any issues. And it turned out I had the thyroid levels of a 9-year-old girl when I was a 280-pound 25-year-ld.
So you mean like Zoe?
Basically, my thyroid was producing as much as Zoe's is, which is not a good thing when I am a grown 280-pound man. And your thyroid controls so much in your body. Everything from, it can make you depressed, it can decrease serotonin production, it can affect every
Weight.
part of your body. There's literally nothing that, I mean, almost everything in your body is affected by your thyroid. And it's actually one of the biggest causes of depression that people don't know about. So when I got that medicated and got my thyroid under control, that's when I stopped having a lot of brain fog. I started being able to focus better. I was just genuinely happier, had more energy. So if anybody takes anything from this podcast, from me, get your thyroid checked.
Check your thyroid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check mine.
Even if that's the thing, even if you're skinny, it doesn't mean you have a good thyroid. It really doesn't. I know people that are in very good shape. I did a bodybuilding competition, got down to very low body fat percentage with a junk thyroid. Just because you're in shape doesn't mean your thyroid's working the way it's supposed to. No. And even if it could be overproducing. If your thyroid's overproducing, that can cause problems. So that's something I feel like most people don't know that they should look into.
Yeah,
that's a really good tip.
Well, I also want to thank you, Garrett, for being honest, because you're saying this to the world. It's going on the internet, right? So if you're a guy at home watching this, and you're like, I feel weird about saying that I'm depressed or admitting that I want to be a strong, tough guy. Look at Garrett, covered in tattoos, huge, big bodybuilder, huge beard, could be Attila the Hun or the Gladiator, and he used to get more girls than I've ever seen anybody get in my life. If he's willing to be open and honest about it, check yourself. Don't. It's silly. That's a thing of the past.
Life's too short to not live it to the fullest.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. You only get one shot at life, and depression can really ruin that one shot for you. So don't let it. It's worth living. Things get better, and also these guys help.
You could have a puppy like Maggie.
Yeah, who's still sleeping somehow. I don't know.
Well, on that note, I think that was good. So I'm glad we're back on. Sorry we took 8 months, but Garrett was a great guest to have back. I'm glad Zoe was here today.
Thanks for joining us, Zoe. She was snacking halfway through it, but it's okay.
Here's the link for her slime channel if she ever does it.
Yeah, help me.
Yeah, we'll see. Garrett, anything else you want to say? Any other questions? Or are we good?
I think.
Thanks so much.
Touched on everything. Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
It was
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Very informative. Seriously, I'm gonna try to do the protein thing and get healthier.
You're not
take more vitamins. I think I'm gonna try it.
Called out by Zoe right on the podcast.
Yeah. Now I have to do it.
She's my mom. She lives with me, and she's never done anything like this. She does.
No, but now that I have all of Garrett's information and this boost of confidence about it, I'm gonna give it a whirl. So thank you, Garrett.
You say you're gonna do a lot of things. 2 years later, it's never happened.
Oof. Listen, it's the new year.
Get a therapist or get a 9-year-old daughter that calls you on your bullshit.
That's the thing. You guys are worse.
Your New Year's resolution to stop swearing.
Oh, well, there you have it.
I do think a 9-year-old's more expensive than a therapist, though.
It's true. Well, probably, most likely, yes.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, but don't go just yet. We've got the Garrett recap still to come.
Cool. So what is this?
This is the recap of when we spoke to Garrett, the muscle man.
Mr. Strout.
Mr. Strong.
God, it's been so long since we did that interview. I don't even remember. What did we talk about?
So, just a recap of our life. We've been moved.
Very busy.
We have gone on vacation to the Bahamas. So sorry for not doing this quicker. So what did we talk about? Fitness, bodybuilding.
Oh, yes. Oh, I know one thing I did want to say. I think I already kind of said it in the interview itself, but I wanted to thank you, Garrett, for, oh, here comes the doggy. Mickey, Finn, come here. For being open and honest about trying steroids and whether you think it's good or bad for young people to do that. I also think it's cool that you were willing to do the podcast with us, Garrett, because I know you shut off your Instagram. I hope he doesn't knock over.
Got a good boy. I'll watch him.
But anyway, so just wanted to say thank you, Garrett. That was really cool because a lot of guys, especially in that industry of working out and being tough, want to be tough. And so I like that you were vulnerable and open and talked about therapy and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Garrett. And I think it was one of our better interviews. Not saying that we haven't had great ones, but you were really well spoken and professional, and it was awesome. Very impressive. Yeah. 10 out of 10, baby.
So something else we're going to start doing now is during these recaps, because they could be, like I said, this is almost a month since we recorded it. We've been very busy, but we're also going to take this time so that you can get to know us better. So we're just going to talk and hang out. So as you can tell, I'm kind of in a little spicy mood. I just drove to Goodwill, Kat, and that light out at the mall. This is not gonna make sense to anybody who doesn't live in Bangor. The light when you get off at that exit at the mall
Mhm.
needs to be fixed. So, city councilors, anybody, if you're watching this, please redesign that area.
Redesign
whatever-
Stillwater
Yeah,
intersections.
and whatever
Plural.
person from the federal government that approved and designed that, you need to be fired immediately. It's like the bane of my existence every time I go over there.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
And since I'm complaining, I'm going to continue my complaints. The second thing, and some people are going to think I'm crazy for this, but I want to ask your opinion, Kat. The concept of sharing the road with people on bikes drives me insane. Roads are made for cars, and unless you're going the speed limit, which most bikers aren't, like, yes, the guys in spandex pants can bike crazy fast and more power to them. Go on the highway if you want, if you can go 70 miles an hour. But most people are riding their bike at about 15 to 20, maybe 25 if they're pushing it. They should be somewhere else. I don't know where. I'm not saying make bike lanes for them. They can't be on the sidewalk because of pedestrians. They shouldn't be in the road with 6,000-pound vehicles doing these little hand signals. Like, I almost hit a guy coming on a snowbank, and he's like, share the road or whatever. I couldn't hear what he said, but he said something, and I'm just looking at him like, I'm in a car going 35 miles an hour around a snowbank. I can't see. Why are you? And also, why are people biking in the winter?
So here's
Anyway,
the thing.
Sorry, that's my rant.
Some people like to bike, like my Aunt Linda and Uncle John. Hey.
Yes, he does.
And I mean, is it kind of annoying sometimes when we have to like slow down or swerve or
I knew you were going to play devil's advocate.
keep an eye? But I mean, honestly, how often do you see? It's not like we have a bajillion bikers. You know?
I'm looking for
it's
it.
once a month, maybe.
Maybe I'm looking for it, but I see them all the time, and it drives me crazy. And this is the other thing. I understand it's an economic thing as well. Like, some people don't have cars, and they need them to get to work or the library or whatever it might be. And so for those people, I get it. But when I see the person that's all decked out with like an $800 bike and spandex and all this stuff, it's just like for instance, your uncle, we saw him on the hiking trails. That's great. He had the fat tire bike. He's out there in the woods.
No. He wasn't biking. He was skiing.
Oh, he was. But it was the other guy we saw with the fat tire
Yeah.
bike. Anyway, though, but it still proves my point. That's great. Like, take your fat tire bike, go off in the wilderness, do biking trails.
But some bikers don't like to do mountain biking. That's mountain biking.
But why are they in a 3-lane, like the intersection out by, like, why are they out there?
Well, he was
in the
not
mall?
in the right spot. He shouldn't be biking there.
Okay.
Chaz hates bikers. I don't mind them.
This is me being, I can be
I think
negative
it's
once in a while.
great.
I'll
You
be
know what?
negative today.
You know what? I think
What?
it's great. I think they're out getting exercise, vitamin D. Keep biking.
Okay, let's move on to my last and most controversial thing.
Uh-oh.
And once again, this is a local Bangor thing, so if you're not from Bangor, you don't care about this. But City Council,
Mhm.
we are a town or city of like roughly 30,000 people. We have more homeless people here, especially in our downtown, which would be like our flagship cool area, than I ever used to see when I lived in Brooklyn. Like, it is out of control. Tent City is crazy. I don't know why they're coming, but they're not from here. They're not even from Maine. A lot of them from Connecticut, these weird places. I know they're coming here for programs and welfare and whatnot, and that's fine. I don't mind having them come. We lost 2,000 people in population over the past decade, so we need more people. So immigrants from Ukraine, whatever, let's take them, but we need to do something with them. We can't be letting them live on the streets. Like, when you go downtown, there's a soup kitchen there, a church right in the intersection. People are walking around. Like, I saw a guy the other day naked. There's a video. There's a website you got to check out on Facebook called Bangor Area Tweakers. I think you have to apply to join, but oh my God, some of the videos in there. Kat, you want to tell them about the lady at the gas station and what she did?
Thank you for bringing that up again. I didn't want to relive that image, but there is a video of a large woman, clearly high on drugs, at a gas station that I've used
On Main Street.
on Main Street, sticking it in her vagina.
Sticking what now, Kat? We need some more clarification. What's the?
The gas, the thing
the
that
pump.
the pump.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She stuck
Where
it
gas
right up her
comes out.
hoo-ha.
People touch that. I didn't laugh at it. People laugh, think it's disgusting. Obviously, it f***ing pisses me off because sometimes I'm getting gas with my daughter. God forbid, Zoe wanted to help me that day and touched the same pump that girl put in her vagina.
Yeah.
Something's got to, like, come on.
And once again, I'm not, forget about politics. It's not left or right or any of that. We are not San Francisco. We are not Los Angeles. Like, why do we have Skid Row
We're a small,
happening in Bangor, Maine?
quaint city, okay, with a lot of small businesses trying to make a living. They want to be supported. We support them, but people are, using their bathrooms to bathe, just sitting and squatting, begging people for money. For example, today I took Zoe it's Sunday, by the way. I took her to Bagel Central downtown. On our way out, a homeless man asked us for money, which is fine. But again, it's too often. It's not the same city I grew up in. Zoe's 9. I used to play outside all the time without my mom there. I would never,
The days
ever
of
let
having
Zoe go
the-
outside and do that alone.
the days
Maybe
of-
I'm like crazy and too worried about things, but something's gonna happen. Needles everywhere. It's It's sickening. It's sad. And
Yeah. The days of having your doors unlocked, car or home or whatever, are over. I had to install during the pandemic. It got crazy because they weren't allowing as many of the homeless in the homeless shelter for health reasons, and so they were breaking into my property. And one of them kicked
sleeping
out a
in
fence.
entryways.
Yeah, there was like a 15-year-old kid that overdosed in the driveway on
Fecal
heroin.
matter. There's fecal matter in places that it should not be, and it's not from dogs.
And once again, I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm not like some right-wing, kill off the homeless. That's not it. But something needs to be done. And I know Ronald Reagan years ago cut the federal funding for all the loony bins, and there was a good reason for that. They were doing lobotomies and straitjackets, all these crazy things that they weren't taking care of them, more or less. But in modern times, I think we need to reopen some of those facilities with good care, make sure everybody's being taken care of,
Reevaluate the situation and figure out
there was
a
actually
solution.
Yeah, there was a guy, he went to prison for like a year, but he broke into my house. I was actually out of town and saw him on the cameras and called the cops, and they arrested him. And I remember when they were bringing him to court, I think they called me afterwards, I don't know, it was the assistant DA or whatever, just to let me know the outcome. And she more or less said that she's like, oh, he's insane. And I was like, okay, I wasn't mad at him anyway. Like, who knows what people have reasons are for breaking in, and maybe he's starving, I don't know. But I've seen him now 3 times walking around downtown Bangor talking to himself. I also have seen him on the scanner page and the neighbors app that he's tried to break into 3 other houses since he's gotten out of jail for breaking into mine. So as a community, we kind of need to say, okay, these people need a place to go. They can't be living in a tent city shooting heroin.
We don't let rabid dogs, we don't let rabid animals run around the city. It's kind of the same thing. It's dangerous.
They need to be taken care of. Their existence now, peeing and pooping outside their tent in negative 30-degree weather.
And shooting up drugs.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my rant about that, Bangor City Council. So
Let's help them. Let's help them clean up and become
and
a good member of society if they're mentally capable. Let's do something, please.
And I was about to say, we're probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but once again, I'm just asking for solutions here. I'm not disparaging the homeless. It's a lot of their time. It's not their fault. I understand that happens, but they need to be taken care of.
Exactly.
And so rather than coming at us in the comments and saying, you guys are idiots, you're selfish, blah, blah, blah. If you're going to comment on this, please come up with some ideas for things to do. My idea is to get some funding to reopen loony bins or psychiatric hospitals, whatever you want to call them, the correct term now, but they can't be living on the street anymore.
No, it's not safe for them or us. So there's that.
Yep. Anything else you want to say? I think my camera's been slowly coming down.
It is slowly. You're slowly falling. I think that's pretty much it. Can't wait to do the next interview. If you guys have any ideas on who we should interview next or what we should talk about, shoot us a comment. If you want to be interviewed, by all means, come at us. Maybe we can make something happen. I kind of want to talk about, like, the next thing I want to talk about is relationships and sexuality. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Cool. There was a woman that does that, and I was her snowplow guy for a while. And I think she got mad at me because winter came once, and she was like, "Oh, you're gonna be my plow guy again?" And I forgot about her, and my truck had broken down, so I wasn't doing it. So I just shot her text. It was like the night a storm was coming, and she's like, "Oh, gee, thanks for letting me know." So I think she might have been salty that I just ditched her.
She wanted Chaz to say, "I'll be your plow guy."
But that being said, I think if I reached out to her, she might want to be interviewed. I think she's a psychiatrist. She might even be a sex therapist.
I think that'd be great. A lot of people want to hear and talk about that stuff.
And I'm not sure she even is, or if you're a therapist yourself, or once again, we interview anyone and everyone. This podcast. My cousin John Pedersen, shout out to John, made fun of me. He's like, you need to be more specific and have a thing. It's like, no, we just
miscellaneous. It's a miscellaneous.
Like today we're talking about homeless in Bangor. Tomorrow we might be talking about how to do makeup from Zimbabwe. Like, I don't know. Anyway, love you all.
Hey, it would also be cool to do a tattoo artist. Maybe we could video them tattooing. Anyways, lots to talk about next time. See ya.